In this video, I'm going to share why I think the incoming Trump administration might actually have a negative effect on the crypto market in the long term. A key pillar of the economic policy of the incoming administration could create an environment where high-risk assets like crypto might perform poorly. Now, a tariff is a tax that is paid to the government of a country by an importer of a good or service. So let's say there is a company in the US called Tree, and Tree imports leaves from Brazil. So Tree would have to pay a 10 to 20% tariff to the US government for all imports of leaves from Brazil. Three things can happen. A, Brazil could reduce the price of leaves so that Tree can continue to import them from Brazil. Tree would still have to pay a tariff, but because of the reduction in the price of leaves, it would be paying what it was paying even before the tariffs were imposed. A second scenario is that Tree could absorb the tariff, making peace with the fact that its bottom line would be impacted. And the third scenario is that Tree would pay the tariff and then pass the cost of that tariff to its consumers, increasing the price of goods. It's highly likely that this is what will happen in the United States. In 2021, the US International Trade Commission found that the 2018 tariffs imposed by the Trump administration increased the prices of goods by 1.7% to 17%. So let's look at washing machines and dryers. A study was conducted on how the tariffs of 2018 affected the price of washers and dryers in the United States. So in 2018, a 50% tariff was imposed on all imported washers, but not on dryers. What happened was that the price of all washers and dryers increased by, on average, 12%. So this is a table of the major manufacturers of washers and dryers. So the first three are US companies, and the last is a foreign company. You will notice that the prices of washers manufactured by the local companies increased even though the tariffs were only imposed on imported washers. What was interesting was that dryers, the prices of dryers also increased by 12%, even though no tariff was imposed on dryers. So imagine now that there's a 10 to 20% tariff on all imports and a 60% tariff on imports from China. That, based on this study, the prices of different goods, both local and imported, will increase. By how much will depend on the value of the tariff. But if consumers are paying more for goods that they actually need, my thinking is they're going to have less disposable income to spend on coffees every single day, but also on high-risk assets like crypto. And that could negatively affect the crypto market. But if we put that to the side, so let's say that the rate by which the prices of goods increases significantly, this would mean that inflation would increase significantly. And so then measures would have to be put in place to reduce that inflation. And some of these could be reducing the tariffs, removing them altogether. It has been suggested that the Federal Reserve could step in if this eventuality occurs. This eventuality, which is one of several, occurs. Now, the US Fed has rarely stepped in to cool off tariff-mediated inflation, but also there's never been a situation where tariffs have been imposed across the board as opposed to a few sectors. So maybe the Fed might step in, maybe other measures will suffice. But if inflation does increase considerably, the Fed might stop cutting interest rates. It might not hike them, but it might stop cutting them or reduce how many times it will cut them. And again, as I've mentioned before, high-risk markets thrive when the Fed cuts interest rates. So even if it doesn't raise those interest rates and just decides not to cut them, that could also negatively affect the crypto market in the long term. So yes, the incoming administration could be good for the crypto industry in the United States, but its economic policies, if carried out as proposed, could prove to be negative for high-risk markets like the crypto market. So those are my thoughts. I'll be happy to hear what yours are. Feel free to share them in the comments below. This is all that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.